This is a quick demo on how to stitch large images into a single image using Figi. On the machines delivered by the HIPS project, you should be able to access Figi, probably by searching using the search window in the left-hand corner of the screen. Figi can load pretty much any type of file, so if you have TIFF or JPEG, it will be able to process it. The file formats you really should be processing if you're trying to create an archival image would be TIFF. So I will start by loading in these three images. You can just drag and drop these onto Figi, and that's the same whether you're using a Mac or using Windows. So the first thing we need to do is get these images all in the same orientation. What I'm going to do is click the magnifier and right click just to make the images a little bit smaller so they'll fit on the screen. So this image I think is the correct way up. So I can see the head of the dragon is here. The head of the dragon is here. So it's just this one which needs rotating. And what I can see, I've got the feet of the dragon here. This is the feet of the dragon. So I need to rotate this image to the left. So you go Image, Transform, Rotate 90 degrees left. So has that done it? That was the wrong way. Okay, so what that's done is put it that way. I needed to rotate it the other way. What I can do is undo. Didn't work. So Image, Transform, Rotate 90 degrees right. Image, Transform, 90 degrees right. Right click just to unzoom it. So I should now have each of these so that they will line up. When you're imaging for stitching images like this, you need to make sure you have a good amount of overlap between the images. So we can see in these two we have most of this text is the same in both, so these should align well. The way I usually do this is do pairwise stitching. So it combines two images together. Then you can save that. And then you can use that combined image and stitch one more image to it. This way you're only ever stitching two images and you get to save all the intermediate stages. So if it goes wrong, you can easily go back one step. So to get to the stitching, you need to go to Plugins, scroll down to Stitching and Pairwise Stitching. So it will ask you what two images you wish to stitch. So I will stitch 66 and 65 first, these two images. As I can see, these will easily go. Click OK, and you will get a lot of options you can pick. If you're trying to make a really perfect image, you can click sub-pixel accuracy, but that will be quite slow. So just for a first test to see if it works, just click OK. you will see something come up in the log window, and on a reasonably fast computer such as this one, you get a large image. So it's stitched our two small images together. So 65 and 66. We can close the original images now, so we don't need them. So what we want to do is take this image and stitch 64 onto it. And we can see again we have good overlap, we have the hole, we have some of the detailing in both images. So again, we go plugins, stitching, pairwise stitching. In fact, before I do that, it's a good idea, if you get a good image like this where the stitching has worked, is to save it. And it will by default save in the same format you loaded. So even if the next image doesn't stitch perfectly, we have this combined image saved. So we can go back to stitching, pairwise stitching, and now our first reference image will be our combined image, and the image we want to add on will be the 64, this image. Just click OK. Wait for a short while. And we get a perfect result. So we have complete stitching of this. We can just flip it to get it the correct way round. So we'll just do transform 90 degrees right and transform 90 degrees right again. So now we have this the correct way up. We can see we're only viewing it at 8.3% size. So this is a very large, high resolution image. You can actually see it's sort of 13,900 pixels by 4,100 pixels. It's a large image. We can close the images we don't need anymore. We can save this one. And then if we actually want to see if the stitching worked, we can zoom in and we can see it's worked. So that's what happens if you have good overlap in your images. If you don't have sufficient overlap, then the stitching won't work, and I'll show you how that looks. So this is an example where there's no real overlap between the images. Just make them a bit smaller so they fit on the screen. We can rotate them. If we use this as our reference, then this one needs to rotate to the left, to the right, and this one to the left. That one actually needed to transfer to the left. Okay, so now we are same orientation as this one, and this one we will transform and see if I get it right this time. Yes. So just by looking at these images, you can see there's no really good overlap. But we can try. Let's see what happens. So we'll go plugin, stitches, pairwise stitching, and we'll just stitch 73 and 72 to see if this will work. Click OK, let it think, and you can see it's immediately just gone wrong. There's no overlap between the images, so it's tried to match points it thinks should agree between the images and failed. So you need a good level of overlap. Okay, I hope this was useful. Thank you for your attention.